Welcome back to History and Freemasonry, where ancient symbols reveal timeless truths. Benjamin Franklin, Freemasonry, and the birth of America. When we think of the Founding Fathers, one name rises above almost all others: Benjamin Franklin. Printer, scientist, diplomat, philosopher. Franklin wore many hats. But what most people don't realize is that Franklin was also a devoted Freemason. As Henry Wilson Coyle notes in Coyle's Masonic Encyclopedia, 1961, Franklin was initiated into St. John's Lodge in Philadelphia in 1731, later serving as Grand Master of Pennsylvania. In fact, just 3 years later, he published the first Masonic book in the New World, James Anderson's Constitutions of the Freemasons, 1734. That moment was more than printing ink. It was the birth of a Masonic culture in America. Freemasonry shaped Franklin's vision of civic virtue and brotherhood. Albert Mackey, in his Encyclopedia of Freemasonry, 1873, reminds us that Franklin believed Masonry offered a way to refine men's character and strengthen the bonds of society. Joseph Fort Newton, in The Builders, 1914, calls Franklin a model Mason who lived by the craft's principles of equality, moral improvement, and reason. These weren't just abstract ideas. They were the very ingredients of the American Revolution. And Franklin wasn't alone. George Washington, John Hancock, Paul Revere, and Joseph Warren were all Freemasons. Charles H. Callahan in Washington the Man and the Mason, 1913, shows how these brothers carried their lodge values into the struggle for independence. The lodge hall and the town hall were never far apart. Franklin's Masonic influence stretched across the Atlantic. As William R. Denslow notes in 10,000 Famous Freemasons, 1957, Franklin served as master of the prestigious Lodge of the Nine Sisters in Paris. There, he rubbed shoulders with Enlightenment thinkers like Voltaire. This network of Freemasons helped secure France's crucial support for the American cause. Margaret Jacob, in Living the Enlightenment, 1991, argues that lodges like these weren't just social clubs. They were incubators of revolutionary ideas, built on equality, fraternity, and intellectual freedom. For Franklin, Freemasonry was the bridge between American dreams and European support. Manly P. Hall takes it a step further in The Secret Destiny of America, 1944, portraying Franklin as one of the great initiates who saw America as a new Atlantis, a land where Masonic and esoteric ideals could take root and flourish in freedom. By the time the Declaration of Independence was signed in 1776, Masonry's fingerprints were already on America's birth certificate. The fraternity's values, liberty, equality, fraternity, moral virtue, and the belief in the great architect of the universe, were alive in the hearts of Franklin and his Masonic brothers. George Washington would later lay the cornerstone of the U.S. Capitol in full Masonic regalia. John Hancock, Paul Revere, and Joseph Warren carried their lodge lessons into revolutionary action. And Benjamin Franklin, the ever-curious printer and philosopher, had already ensured that Masonry was firmly planted in the soil of the new republic. As Mackey, Newton, Hall, and others remind us, Franklin and his brothers didn't just dream of a new nation. They built it upon the timeless principles of Freemasonry. And so, behind the parchment and powdered wigs, behind the science experiments and the printing press, we discover something greater. A fraternity of men who believed that by building better men, they could build a better world. If you find Masonic history enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe, and continue your journey in the light of the great architect of the universe. Thank you.